The Dennis Shepler Texas Birding Ambassador Award is presented by the Texas Ornithological Society to individuals who exhibit true Texas friendship to birders in the field. In this, its inaugural year, the award is presented with great affection and appreciation to Carolyn Old Johnson, founder and manager of the Christmas Mountain Oasis. No, not those Christmas mountains. These Christmas mountains. The Christmas Mountains are a small range of arid peaks just outside of Big Bend National Park in remote West Texas. Rugged is an understatement for the Christmas Mountains. It's not a place you'd expect to find an oasis for birds or birders. It's not an easy place to get to or an easy place to carve out an oasis from. Carolyn, a girl from the Midwest, moved there in 1986 and got to work.
Well, it started when my late husband and I wanted more water for our vegetable garden, and we got the idea to dig some tanks and harvest rainwater since we didn't have any other source of water for our garden, and we both loved to garden.
To this day, the oasis depends on seasonal water diverted from natural arroyos and stored in man-made water tanks.
But while he was into gardening, I was more into birding, and when he did the digging and all that, he had left lots of piles of dirt, which I smoothed out and naturally planted trees. Being an Iowa girl, I had to have trees. So I planted trees, and I got the tree planting fever, and I couldn't quit planting trees. And then when he passed away, like 8 years later, I wasn't interested in the vegetable garden at all, so I turned it all into a birding habitat. The oasis has existed as an oasis probably from the time we started in 1995 digging our first tank, and it just kept evolving.
Water makes an oasis possible, but it's the birds that attract the birders.
So it definitely evolved, but at the time I started, I had absolutely no idea that I had a rare hummingbird here or any such thing. I'll never forget when I saw my first Lucifer hummingbird. That was like a religious experience. I didn't even know what it was, but I just knew it was special, and I was really excited.
Birders, by their nature, don't keep many secrets. Instead, their true passion is to share.
You know, word gets around. I think in '96 the first group of birders came. By then birders were pouring in to see the Lucifer hummingbirds and elf owls and varied buntings, and it just the way it went. So many birders came, and over the last 20, 25 years, they know when they come here they're gonna get pictures and good looks, and this is about the only place on earth you can see them do their breeding courtship display. It's a valuable place to have. And in hindsight, it should have been built down closer to the highway and not be way up here in the middle of nowhere. The birders that, you know, really appreciated the place being here and did what they could to help, like they've shared the expense. You know, we had that tank for the GoFundMe. I call it the GoFundMe tank because in David Sarkozy, I wouldn't have that tank without him pushing birders to donate to the tank. And without that tank, the oasis would no longer be here because the original tanks we dug have just kind of deteriorated, and we can't keep them from leaking and stuff. And they always evaporated. And so that tank's what keeps the Oasis pretty much assured of continuing on. Mike Gray got the grant for the viewing blind and the water feature, which are wonderful, which we wouldn't have without that.
The lifeblood of any oasis is the water. But water attracts all kinds of wildlife, not just the birds.
Well, bears have been a problem. I didn't even see the first bear here till maybe 1990. I think they didn't even come into the Big Bend until maybe the late 1980s. But at first they were just an occasional sighting, and that was exciting. But then they started liking the seed feeders, and I tried making bear-proof seed feeders for years and years. I'd think I'd have one absolutely bear-proof, and the next thing I'd know it would tear it apart. But we finally, after all these years, we do finally have bear-proof feeders. One's operated by the electric shock method, and the other is way up out of reach on a very strong pole that they can't bend and they can't reach. But it took a long time. Javelina dug up stuff, and they would dig up my new trees, so I put wire mesh and stuff around the trees, and of course all of them had to be caged, from the deer and the javelina when they were little.
It's obvious that Carolyn has a passion for all nature, especially birds. But the Dennis Shepler Award is meant to commemorate and celebrate an individual who also has a passion for people and who makes the effort to extend community and friendship to both seasoned and beginning birders the Texas way.
When people come and say it was the highlight of their trip, or, oh man, I got 5 lifers there, it's so exciting, so wonderful. And to know that you can bring joy to so many people, it's very motivating. I'm mostly motivated, believe it or not, because it gives me such pleasure to share such wonderful gems of nature with birders who really love and appreciate that. I can't remember when I first met Dennis, but it was not too long after the Oasis came into being, so it was probably in the late 1990s. He was the epitome of what this place was all about, what it was for. It was for people like Dennis, who loved and appreciated it, enhanced their life, and by turn it enhanced my life. The Oasis and places like it are important for people to be able to get away to a quiet space and watch birds and become a part of nature. It keeps you from focusing on the past and the future. It keeps you grounded in the present, and that's what life's all about, being grounded in the present. It's a great honor to get the first Dennis Shepler Award because he was such a special person. He was always excited to be here and come here, and that excitement was contagious. And he never ever left without giving me a big hug and telling me he loved me. And that just tells what a special person he was.
Thank you, Carolyn, for keeping Dennis's spirit alive.